All right, we're doing agent Q&A today. Just took a peek out there. There was a surprising amount of people. I wasn't sure if anyone was actually going to show up, so I'm going to do my best to answer all their questions and try to provide value today. So here we go.
I'll go to Jake. So this is why I wanted to have Jake here and the Kearns and Rocky, because I've seen each of your businesses grow, and yet I know that each of you kind of do things a little bit differently. And so that's what I love. Love having different types of agents here. And so Jake, same question, man. Your business, as you move back to Fort Wayne, same thing, has just grown. It's expanding, it's exploding. Your team is growing as well. So what would you say, maybe a couple of those things that has really been helping you and your team grow?
Yeah, there's, like anything, there's more than one just thing. I'd say two stand out. One is consistency. I won't go too in depth on that. I think everybody knows what that means, but it means no excuses. We were here this morning. I saw the accountability group here this morning. I think that's how you do it. But I think the other thing is, we are blindly consumer centric. Like everything we do, we're thinking like, how does this affect our client? How does it affect our buyer's experience? How does it affect our seller's experience? How does it affect the person's day who's scrolling through social media? And then being really intentional about posting on social. Like, yes, there's times where we sell. We want to list your house. We want to sell your house. We just sold a house. But a lot of times we just give, education, entertainment, everything. But and not to say that all of our posts are like God's gift to posting. We don't always hit the mark. But at least our North Star is, how does this affect the person who's consuming it, whether that's on social or whether that's through the transaction. And so I think that's been something that differentiates us, where it's like, being newer, I do have roots from being here, but I was gone for 12 years. Right. So I feel like, we've looked at every single interaction as like an audition for more, where I'm not trying to squeeze every dollar out of every situation. And that's not just because I'm Mr. Nice Guy, it's because there's a bigger play at hand, where it's like, I'm trying to create a brand and an image, and then that's done through like one deal at a time. Yeah. So basically that was a long-winded way of saying always being consumer centric and thinking about what the consumer is best for them.
Yeah. I'm gonna do a follow-up question. So your social media is, I would say, quite different. A lot of agents do focus just on listings, or hey, we closed this, we sold this, which I think is huge. You have to do that. You have to be out there. It's getting your face out there and eyeballs on what you're doing. But again, maybe go a little bit more in depth, as there's agents here and watching online that want to know more about this. So when you say be consumer centric, dive a little bit more into that. What does that mean?
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity. So I think one of the biggest distinctions you have to ask yourself, and I think almost no one is cognizant of this, is, are you selling or are you marketing? So most people think they're marketing and really they're selling. They're posting something because they want something in return. Even if it's like, a free this or that, it's not really free. Like you want them to eventually transact. So you're posting with what you want, and that's selling. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's not bad. Okay, that's not bad, but I think you just need to be intentional about it. So when we post to sell, we make a conscious decision. We are posting to sell. When we're doing something that's marketing, that's free. If any of you follow us, you see lots of free advice. We see how to self-manage, your rental property. We do a Monday market update every single Monday. That's some pretty boring stuff. Not a lot of people watch that. But if you're in the market or you've been thinking about selling, even if you're not going to go with me, but you're connected to it, that's valuable information for you. Where it's like you've been on the fence and you see inventory rising because you've been watching the Monday market update, you can make a decision to go ahead and list. Like, hopefully it's with me, but if not, hopefully it's with someone who's doing a good job, So just free giving, and really free, because people are a lot smarter than you think they are. People are very intuitive, and they know when you want something and you're not being honest about it. It's kind of like, the person who's like, hey, I want to give thanks to my team, but then they post like a picture of their BMW. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with BMWs, but it's like, we know that you wanted us to see your BMW, and that's okay. Like, be proud of yourself. But what I'm saying is, don't pretend that it was a Thanksgiving, where I feel like we just are always trying to think like, how can we make this post worth looking at, So.
No, that's good. So I think what I'm hearing you say is kind of reiterate, but difference between selling and marketing, and selling is posting something with the hope of them to transact with you, where marketing is, hey, I'm just putting out free and hopefully valuable information without the desire, hey, hopefully they come back, give me something.
And so to me, that's what branding is, and that's what brand building is, where like branding to me is not a logo and a slogan and a color scheme, and like that is a part of branding, but to me branding is like if somebody was walking down the street and was like, hey, what do you think of Jake and his team? Like that's what our brand is. And so, you know, we want our brand to be hardworking, we're gonna outwork everybody, you know, trying new things, even if we look silly on video, like trying something different, like being innovative, really testing what's out there. And I think the only way you do that is through marketing, not through selling. So
no, it's good. Any questions just on that right now for Jake? Yeah, Dave.
I would just say, following you, Jake, you're falling forward. You're not falling, but you're leaning forward. That sounds better than falling forward. People love to hear stories, and they're great storytellers. So that's why I think that to me is, other than your consistency, my vision of Jake McAfee, the McAfee Group, that you're consistently telling the stories that people not only want to hear, but they need to hear.
well, thank you, and I appreciate you saying that. I feel like this is almost bordering on hubris. I'm not saying we have it all figured out. Like this is just what we're aiming for. Not to say that like we're awesome and everyone else stinks. It's more like the reason we look different is because I think we're coming from a different angle, and it's the super long game. It's the long game. Like I'm getting referrals now that I know started 2 years ago with posting, you know, where I'll have someone message me now and I'm like, oh yeah, you, like it was someone I haven't talked to in like 20 years, you know, something like that. And I don't think that's because of one clever slogan, you know, or like one cool logo. I think that's because of like, you know, 600 posts with most time people don't even interact, you know. That's the other thing to keep in mind is like, if you look at my engagement, it's not super high. Like people see it, everywhere I go, people are like, oh man, I love your video. I'm like, could you like it or something, you know, like send me a flag that this is mattering to you at all. But I know it's resonating because I have these conversations. You know, Michael's had the same experience where like he'll go and meet up with a group of friends and all his friends are talking about his videos. You know, and none of them commented, none of them liked it. So like don't get caught up in that, because again, that's coming back to what you want. Like that's coming back to how you feel, and this is about free giving, and the way people consume, they're not always going to engage. Like that's just not everyone's style.
What do you say to those who are maybe thinking about starting social media or have been kind of putting it off? Like, how did you start with that? And what advice did you get to start with that?
Yeah, good question. I think if you're getting started in social media, I'm gonna say two things. One is kind of touching on what I already talked about. Posting with the consumer in mind and not posting with what you hope to get from it. It takes supreme discipline. I mean, like we're talking like you might do this for a couple years before you see any results. But to me, once you have that power, you can leverage it into anything. You know, if you start a nonprofit, if you run for public office, if you've built yourself based on, like if you're a real estate sales guy, you're actually like limiting yourself. If you're like helpful person, you know, person who thinks about others, that can go into anything. So I would think, you know, start that with your posting. And then the other thing is just do it and just keep doing it. Like, you know, everybody finds a reason. And just so you know, I'm not like on my high horse. I bought a tripod in 2017 and I made my first video after coronavirus hit. For 3 years, I was getting ready. You know, I was like, well, I don't quite have the software. Well, I don't have the lighting. Well, you know, I'm going to lose another 10 pounds and then I'm going to do it. And like all these things. And it was like time after time. Then when COVID hit and I got slow and I said, you were either going to admit to yourself now that you're afraid or you're going to make a video. And so I made my first video. But that would be it, is to just do it and then you'll get better. It's like you wouldn't expect to like drive a car and be awesome at it the first time. You know, you practice, you went through class, you know, you trained, you did reps. It's the same thing. So if you're starting social media, post with the other person in mind, and just keep doing it and you'll get better through time. I mean, it really is that simple. It's like anything else. Like anything else that you consistently do, you'll get good at.
And I'm not the expert on the panel, but I would say be yourself too. I think people love you. So be yourself. And I've seen people like try to do a video and then they delete it and do it again, delete it. Like I deleted it like 7 times before I posted it. I'm like, it's okay if you mess up. Like that makes you more real and more relatable, and be okay with it. You don't have to be perfect. People know you're not perfect. They already know. you know, so you don't, you know, they're not going to be surprised if you're not perfect. So be yourself on there. And just like Jake said, I love that. It's actually Nike, but no, I love it. Just do it, you guys. Just start doing something consistently, and it will build over time.
And just to back it up, so I know we got other panelists, I feel I'm getting long-winded, but just to like really call me on that was when I was procrastinating. My wife started doing like DIY Instagram when coronavirus hit, and in 1 year she added 24,000 followers, and she had a broken phone, and all she did was like selfie videos and stories. 24,000. So it's like there's no more excuses. Like if she had like a 3-year model back phone, and but just did it, like no curation, no, I mean there's like kids crying and hanging on her and stuff, and still like made the video and like just did it, and it worked. And like it really, for me, like watching that happen, I was like, well, I have no more excuses now, you know.
Yep.
So I think just doing it and don't make excuses.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, go ahead, Nate.
Sorry, for Jake.
Okay.
So I see your market update Mondays, and how do you make those numbers more enjoyable for the average consumer that's consuming your content?
So I don't. So that's about as dry as it gets. But again, that's like kind of beginning with the end in mind. Like there's some videos, like when I toured Promenade Park, like I want that to hit as many people as possible so they see my face and know my name. With those, that does two things. Number one, it keeps me accountable to doing it. And so there's like value in that in of itself, where it's like, even if they're not, people are too busy to really care. Like we think we matter more. We only matter when they're like ready to buy and sell. Every other time, we're just like a peripheral noise. But if they just see you do it, for me, this is at least my thought. Like if they keep seeing me do the Monday market update I haven't missed a Monday in like 16 months. So it's like they know if it's time to list or if it's time to like buy, they know I'm plugged in. They don't even have to question it. They know that I'm looking on a level that very few else are. And then that takes no selling. Like you know what I mean? Like you've already built your trust through 2 years of posts. And that's kind of why I said like, you know, this is a super long game, you know, where it's like, you got to just be ready when they're, it's almost like mailers, like postcards, you know, like those are thrown in the garbage every single time until the day that they're like ready and they're open to it. And then it like just like connects, you know? So that's why they say you gotta just keep sending them. It's the same concept here where it's like the Monday market update is super boring until, like I have people message me about it. You know, I have someone that I think just messaged me today to list their house, and I think it's because they've watched me report that inventory's gone up like 30% over the last month and a half. It's the fact that I even know that. You know what I mean? So that's kind of it. It doesn't really go very wide. So that's where you don't get hung up on likes and views and stuff, and just keep trying to be valuable. And on some things you're gonna do great. There's some posts I think are gonna be awesome, and they kind of are clunkers, and there's other ones where it takes off, and I'm like, who knows, you know? So that's why you just keep trying different things. And Michael and I are always racking our brain on like, what's another way we can present that.
Jake.
There's so many different directions you can take it. I like the Kearns Be Yourself for sure. Rocky, put the work in for sure. Like for me, I've been saying this to new agents lately, and I think I actually come off like a jerk, but I'm trying to be helpful. I'll say, if they're like, oh, I'm new, and I'll say, okay, why should someone use you instead of me? And then there's like an awkward silence. You know, and what I'm trying to show them is like, until you can answer that question like that, like if you come to me and you're like, why should someone use you over Lynn Reeser? I'd say because I work my ass off, I have the experience, but since I relocated, I'm not as busy as she is, and it means more to me. You know what I mean? Like that's the #1 agent in town, and I can already tell you, because I've met ex-clients of hers, and this is not diss on her, she's awesome. She's like setting the standard, but that doesn't mean you can't beat her.
Right.
She's beatable, and I feel like everyone else is beatable. I'm beatable. So being able to answer why someone should go with you, but that comes back to the things that they both said. Like if you're putting the work in and you're being yourself, then you'll start getting business and you'll start beating other agents. But I think like until you can answer that, I think that's where I would start.
Yeah. All right, Jake.
So usually I get up at 5, try to work out. That's all right. I get up at 5, try to work out around 5:30. I don't know what I did the night before, sometimes it's like 5:45. And then I usually get cleaned up. If it's school year, I take the girls to school at 7. If not, I just come straight in. Now I get to come straight in at 7, so I'm here earlier. Look at the hot sheet first, just to see like what hit the market. Usually catch up with the team for a little bit, and then we try it like at 8. Like we always joke who made the first call at 8. Like at 8 on the nose, we try to make the first call, and then maximize calling from 8 to 10. That means, don't set an inspection, don't respond to that title company email. It's hard, especially when something's going wrong. You just want to get it out of your mind, but it takes discipline. Michael was coming off, for example, of a holiday weekend, wanted to set up an inspection, but he waited until 10. And right at 10, I noticed you called right. It was like 10 and he called. But just getting those calls done, because if you wait, you won't get it done. You'll tell yourself you'll make it up, but you just won't. It gets too busy. Then around 10:30, try to respond to everybody's emails from 10 to 10:30 that because after that, it's too long. Then we do agent one-on-ones on Tuesdays. I've got a one-on-one with my transaction coordinator on Mondays. I try to get a post up midday, and then the afternoon is either appointments or I'm trying to come up with another social media content, so podcast interviews, writing out the questions, stuff like that. So that's pretty much it. I try to be home by 5. I mean, if I didn't have kids, I'd probably just sleep here, but but I have to go home. So and I try to be out of here by 5 and go home and get the kids to bed and then do whatever I got to do at 8 to 9, video editing. If I've got a big video, I'll edit it from 8 to 10 at night for a week straight until it's ready to go.
I just want to can we just give a hand to all 8, Jennifer and Mark, Rocky and Jake. So thank you guys very much, man.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate it.
For sure.